Okay, good morning, students. So welcome back to another video session in our Java programming series. In the last video, we explored how Action Listener allows us to handle user action like button clicks in Java applications. And we also saw how Action Listener listens for a specific event such as button click and triggers the corresponding responses. But buttons are not the only way users interact with applications. Think about the applications where we use a mouse to hover, over the elements, over the components, and you drag the items, or even, you play games like Catch Me If You Can, where the mouse movement triggers actions. So these interactions require a different kind of listener, uh, one that specifically listens to the mouse events. That's where the mouse listener interface comes into play. Mouse listener helps us to capture and respond to events like you click on the mouse. Uh, with the mouse, you enter into some area, like for example, into button or into a text field, into a panel, or you exit from some of the area, like I said button or a text field or even a panel or even a frame itself, or some events like releasing the mouse over a component. So in this video session, we will dive into mouse listener and explore how you can make your application more interactive. So by the end, I hope you will be able to add fun dynamic mouse based functionality, just like we did with the action listener in the previous video session. So let's begin by understanding the mouse listener interface and its the abstract methods and how they can be implemented. So just to put a brief information about the mouse listener. So obviously it's an interface in Java, and it is a part of what java.awt.event package, and it is used to listen for and respond to mouse events, that's important, on a component. And these components may be one, it can be button, it can be text field also, it can be panel also, and the other the events can be entering. I mean, if this is a button, so you can enter with the mouse, and if this is the text field, so you can enter with the mouse and you can exit from this area with the mouse. So these components are having some boundaries, and another events can be pressing or releasing a mouse button. To be specific, what is the main purpose of the mouse listener? When the mouse is clicked on a component, when the mouse is clicked, when the mouse enters or exits a component's area, or when a mouse button is pressed or released. So let's see the specific the methods that are there in mouse listener interface. So one of the abstract method in this interface is mouse clicked. So this event is going to trigger when the mouse is clicked, and clicked means two internal things. One is press and another is release on a component. And the second one is mouse press. So it's a half part of the clicked event. So as soon as the mouse is pressed, this event is going to be triggered. And when the mouse is released, these two are just works in a fraction of seconds. So as soon as you start pressing, this trigger is going to fire, and as soon as you release the mouse, this trigger is going to fired. So these two, the methods, they work in just a fraction of a second. Similarly, you have the mouse entered. This is the abstract method, and you have the exited method. So these five, the abstract methods are there: 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So all of these 5, the abstract methods, they are available in which interface? They are available in this mouse listener interface. So as usual, what we will do, students, we will make one interactive and one funny kind of application with the help of this mouse listener interface, so that everything we can understand about the mouse interface, and everything we can implement also in this mouse interface. And this is very interesting application. The problem statement is like this: catch me if you can. So in this problem, you have to create AWT application where user interacts with a moving button labeled, its name or its text on the button should be catch me if you can. And when the mouse pointers enters the button's area, so what does it mean? When the mouse pointer enters the button's area, it means what? As soon as it tries to enter into the button area, the button changes its position randomly within the frame, and also changes its background color to a random color. So two randomization we are doing here. One is for the position, and another is for the background color. And these are specific 4 requirements. There should be a button, and the button text should be this: catch me if you can. The button moves to a new random position within the frame. So if this is the frame that we are working AWT, so if I'm trying to enter into a button, the button moves. Okay, again if I try to enter, the button moves somewhere else, and again if I try to enter, the button moves somewhere else. So this way you will never be able to catch the button, or you will never be able to click the button. And every time you try to approach the button, that means you try to enter into a button, the button background color also changes to a generated color randomly generated color. And the 4th is a frame with a suitable size to accommodate the interaction. So the size of the frame should also be suitable in a sense. It can accommodate the button and the movement. You can see that. See here what I'm trying to say. This is the output application that we are expecting here. This is the button and this is the frame area. So this is mouse pointer, so it is moving towards the button, and as soon as it enters the button, this area or this button changes its position and changes its color also, right? Its color also, and it will come to this position. So how can we implement this? So remember, there is something called mouse entered event. So on this abstract method, you have to write a code. What kind of a code you have to write? You have to write like this. On mouse entered, you have to write like this. First you need to check the current position. Like for example, if this is the current position 100 and let's say 150, this is the current position of this button. So you have to randomize this every time, and this randomization should come in such a way that this value always come inside this frame area. It should not go outside the frame, otherwise button will be disappear. Button will become what? Invisible. So this should not happen. So what should happen is we have to identify this position, and then we have to randomize. The other thing that we have to do every time, we have to change the background color. So I'm going to write the code. The logic is pretty simple. You need a random number for two things. One thing is for the background color and another is for the position, and you have to put some check so that this area that you are calculating will always come inside this window. So let's quickly go back to the Visual Studio, and there I will write the code. And this time I will write codes in a slightly fast way, because in last 2 videos we went very slowly, and we have seen each and every line of code, and we have understood the each and every function in AWT. So those things I'm not going to repeat. What I will repeat this part that I'm going to write. So let's quickly switch to the Visual Studio Code. Okay, student. So here we are in Visual Studio Code. So I have written a class catch me game dot java. So in this file, I'll start writing code. So let me start this code. Give me a second. Just initializing. Okay. So here I am once again in Visual Studio. So first, what I will import Java AWT, all the classes. Then I'll import all the interfaces from even. Now I'm writing quickly a class catch me game, which is extending from a frame, and this is implementing what mouse listener. So no need to explain this. Quickly here I am within the class. So I have created a reference for the button, and here I have created the constructor. The name of the constructor is catch me game. Now in this constructor, first I have set the title, then I have set the size, and then now I'm setting it a layout also. Then location relative to, I'm just setting it to null. Now what I'm creating here is the button object itself. So there I created the button reference. Here I'm creating the button object within the constructor, and the text is catch me if you can. Now I'm setting some of the properties of the button. First is the size, which is the initial position is 200 200, and the size of the button is 150 50. Then I'm adding a mouse listener to the button. Those things we have seen in last session also. So catch button dot add mouse listener, and here I'm putting it this keyword. Now I am also adding this button to the component frame. Now visibility also I'm making it true. Now quickly I'm making a mouse listener methods. So the first method that I'm interested is mouse entered, and this is having an argument mouse event e. Now I'm generating a new random position for the button. So as soon as the mouse enter, it is generating a new random position. So how can I generate the new random position? First I'm creating a one integer button width. So I'm extracting it from the current button, and then also I'm extracting the height just by catch button dot get height. Then what I'm doing here, just see this. I'm using this math dot random. This will return a value between 0 and 1. Then I'm multiplying by the width of the frame, and then also I'm minusing it. This value I'm just minusing it with what? The button width. Then again, in the same way, I'm creating the y value. Here, catch button, I'm setting its location to the coordinates that I have generated randomly. Now I'm creating a random color also with the same technique. So a color is having how many components? RGB components. So I'm creating the values, you know that it is from 0 to 256. So quickly in a very fast mode, I'm creating the random colors also. So first is the green component. Sorry, first is the red component, then green component. Now I'm creating the blue component also in this case. Then catch button, the background color also I'm setting it to random color. I hope it's making sense at your end. Then there are remaining 4 methods, and these methods, these abstract methods, we are not implementing. So we need to write nothing in that. Just we are writing these methods, and we are giving the body. Remember what is abstract method? Abstract method is a method without a body. Now if you are implementing the interface which is having the interface, so you have to give the body, and in this case the body is what? Empty. So remaining 4 methods, we are just giving the empty body, right? So quickly we'll complete this mouse release also. We have given a mouse press. Now we are just completing the mouse release, and here we are also giving the empty body. Now quickly we are creating the main function public static void main string args, and in this I'll create the object is catch me if you can. All right, so very quickly we have created our program. Now few things I will explain in this program. What are the few things that I would like to explain once again? Because this is the new thing. Every other thing we have already seen in the last class. The first thing is this integer button width. So every time when the mouse entered, what we are doing, we are changing its position. Every time the mouse entered into a button, we are changing its position. So how we can change that? So for that, we need to have two random numbers. So and random numbers should be in such a way that it should be within the frame, and our frame is AWT frame. So first we'll retrieve the value. How can we retrieve the value? Just catch one dot get width, and similarly height also we can retrieve that. Here, see this value will give a random number between 0 and 1. Now this 0 and 1 we are just multiplying by, this is the width of what frame. So we are just we are just subtracting the width of a button from the width of a frame, so that it will give inside whatever the value it will give inside the frame only. Similarly, we are retrieving the height of the frame, and then we are subtracting button height from this height of the frame. So this way it will always be within the frame. Now we are just multiplying by some random number, and the random number is between 0 and 1. So now if you multiplied, you have already multiplied. Now you have this value is double, by the way. Now you have to convert it into integer. So this is casting, and we have seen in a detail this thing in our data type classes. This is a casting. So we are converting this value into what? Integer, so that the new x will contain integer. So two random numbers we are having, and these two random numbers are within the frame. Now with these two random numbers, what we are assigning, we are assigning to the location of the button, right? Then this is a same thing, almost same thing, and we are generating a new random color. So here this value is what? 0 to 1. And if it is 1, then the maximum value would be what? 256. And this value is 0, then the minimum value would be what? 0. Okay, so this expression is making sure that always the value will come between 0 and 256. 0 and 256. And this is the RGB model. Similarly, for this, the green component will come in a range of 0 to 256, in between 0 and 256. Similarly for the blue component. So every time the mouse will enter, the button will get its new background color, as well as it will get a new location. So this way you will never be able to catch the button. Button will always take a new position. So quickly I will run this program. To run this program, just give me a second. So right, we are here. Yes, we are here in this code. And if I run this program first, let me save this program. And when I run this program, so what do you see, students? Here there is a button, and it is saying, it is challenging you. Basically it's saying that if you can catch, then try to catch me. So I will slowly bring my mouse into the frame. So now it is in the frame, AWT frame. Now slowly I'm moving, and I'm going towards the button. Now as soon as I entered into a button, it is moving. Now it's changing the color also. Now I'm coming from the back side, and I'm trying to enter into a button once again. So as soon as I enter, it again changes its position. So this way, if I'm trying to come here, again it is changing. So I'm not able to catch it, and it is always taking a random position and always taking a random background color also. So again it is changing, again it is changing. So even if I'm slowly going fast, slowly, but it is changing all the time. So this is a very simple, you can say, or a very first game that you can develop in just 10 minutes. What you have to follow is, you have to follow the simple events. Now let me give you, students, what I mean here actually when I'm saying integer new x. So first of all, I will print this expression so that you can see that sys system.out.println. And here what I would print is this expression only, so that you can get what I mean here. This math.random. First I will print this, then I'll copy this quickly, and here I'm going to print what? These two variables. These two variables is new x, and this is what? New y. New y. And this way you will understand more. Now if I run this program, and here you see this is my window. Now if I'm coming in this window, see, I have not entered into a button. Now as soon as I entered into a button, some event is fired, and what it is saying that this random number is what? 6551. It is between 0 and 1. So the position is 305 and 433. Next time when I'll go and I try to enter, now the position has changed. Now it is saying the random number is 844. This is, by the way, a different random number. We have generated all new random number, and now the new coordinates are 222 and 444. Now if I again enter, a new random is generated and a new position is generated. So just to give you one more thing I would like to explain here as about this interface, MouseListener Interface. So come back here and go to the definition, and this is the code written by Java, and this is a very famous author, Carl Cohen. Okay, you can search for this guy. He's a very famous developer, and he has written this actual interface code. So public interface mouse listener, which is extending from the event listener. How many methods are there? This is the one method, mouse clicked, and this is the second method, mouse pressed, and this is the third method, mouse release. This is mouse enter that we have used, and the last method is what? Mouse exited. Let me give you once again what I mean is by mouse clicked. Mouse clicked contains two more events, pressed and release, press and release, and then entered we have used, and exited also we have used. So yeah, come here and see this. See this. If you write mouse exited, so what you can write is system.out.println, and here you can write it exited, exited. Yes, and you can copy this also, and here you can write it click. Okay, and then here you can write it, let me correct this, here you can write it pressed, pressed, and here you can write it released. Here you can write it released. So what will happen if again I will run this program and I'm here? So if I click, see, it is saying what? Because it will never allow for the entered. So entered event is fired and it takes the random position. Then immediately it says that it exited. But click is not working. Why click is not working? Because it will never allow you to enter into this site. So hopefully students, you have understood the purpose of mouse listener interface, and for the program we went little fast, but the main part, the mouse entered abstract method, you have understood. So thank you guys for having this video session on mouse listener interface, and next we will see the key listener interface with some interesting application. Thank you and bye bye.